Hey everybody, it's Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the Edit Experience. Hopefully you know by now that we have started our subscription-based model where we have original content, bonus content, get invites to special events. So right now it's $2.99 a month, and as of January 1st, 2025, it's going to go up to $19.99 a month. So go to edupexperience.com, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe now to lock in that lifetime EdUp Experience founders rate. $2.99 a month, edupexperience.com. Look for subscribe.
Attention.
Registration is now open for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education 2024 Annual Conference, Protecting the Future, Champions for Higher Education, December 11th through 13th, 2024 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Don't miss out. Register today at msche.org/annual-conference or head to msche.org and click on the conference link. I'll see you there.
Now listen up.
Because Insights EDU 2025 is coming, and this is the conference you don't want to miss. Meet us February 12th through 14th in New Orleans for one of our favorite higher education marketing and enrollment management events of the year. Imagine 3 days packed with actionable insights and the latest innovations in higher ed. We're talking top industry experts, real-world case studies, and hands-on workshops designed to help you grow your programs, boost engagement, and elevate your student experience. This is your chance to hear the latest higher ed trends from speakers at Google, Reddit, Meta, MIQ Digital, and schools across the country. Mark your calendars, get your team, and get ready to welcome the era of the modern learner at Insights EDU 2025. Register now at insightsedu.com and secure your spot. We'll see you there. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to Ed Up on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode, and I'm so proud to say very, very recently, and it'll be a few weeks before you hear this episode, unless you're see, I can't even talk today. You're a subscriber of the EdUp Experience podcast, and you get early access to our episodes, that we have interviewed officially 300 college and university presidents over the last 5 years, not even 5 years. January of 2025 is our official 5-year anniversary. And why we're so proud of that and why we think it's significant is because we're basically chronicling higher education leadership in real time. If you actually go back, I can tell you our first president that we ever interviewed was Scott Pulsifer of Western Governors University. I don't remember the exact episode. I think it might have been number 3. But since then, we've gone through COVID. We've talked to leaders during COVID and everything they were dealing with. We've talked to them during FAFSA disruption, a little bit more recent. We've talked to these leaders during mergers and acquisition difficulties, enrollment success, enrollment decline, leadership frameworks, leadership styles, really content that will live far beyond the end of the EdUp experience in one format or another, literally as a case study in higher education and leadership. So we're just so excited to be able to contribute to higher education in this way. And the 300, as we call them, the first 300 presidents that came on this podcast from really universities and colleges all across the world in multiple countries, surely in the United States. We're just so proud. Private schools, public schools, for-profit schools, nonprofit, small, big, really of all kinds, HBCUs, MSIs, tribal colleges. It's just been an honor to bring these people to the microphone. But we are not done yet. In fact, we're going to go to another person that knows a little thing or two about college presidents and prepping them for our VPs and people who are coming up through a pipeline to become college presidents, and in fact started something so significant to higher education. You talk about like a coaching tree or some program that somebody takes to and then goes into a school, and you can all point back to this gentleman that we have here on the podcast. Let's bring him in right now. He's Josh Wyner. He's founder and executive director of the Aspen Institute College Excellence Program. Josh, welcome to An Ed Up Mike. How are you?
Great to be here, Joe. I'm doing well.
Well, you're a sage, my friend. You started an incredible incredible thing at the Aspen Institute. But before we go there, tell us about your role at the Aspen Institute. Tell us about the College Excellence Program. Just lay the foundation for us. Maybe there's somebody here that has not heard of this before. So bring us up to speed.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. So I came 14 years ago to start the College Excellence Program at the Aspen Institute. And today we're a team of about 40 individuals that work to advance student success through institutions of higher education and their leaders. We define student success a little more broadly than some others. We define it as success in college. A lot of folks are working on completion. We think learning matters too. So our colleges, our students learning and completing their degrees. Second, we really focus on post-graduation success. Do students succeed in further higher education or the workforce after they graduate? And finally, we look at equitable access and success of students across the domains that many others are, race, ethnicity, income level. So our program is really designed to identify the colleges achieving really strong outcomes by those standards, according to that definition, to research how well they do and whether what the practices are. Not the programmatic practices in one part of the college, but college-wide practices that enable them to achieve excellent and equitable outcomes. And then we deliver to the field a host of products and professional development to enable folks to replicate those successes. So we have assessment tools and research reports. We have a number of different professional development opportunities. We bring networks together that are committed to advancing student success. And we infuse all of those, that research and those tools and the professional development with what we've learned from the highest performing colleges in the country.
You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you.
I love the data. Data. I heard so many numbers in there talking about, really it's proof, right? Data is proof of success, and we have to track everything. And I don't know that we, in higher ed institutions, we track different things sometimes. I mean, there's some commonalities, but how we look at data, how we use it to make decisions, this is an important part of defining what student success is, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think, colleges are rewarded by and large for enrolling students. And then I think their mission is to graduate them into, sort of life-changing careers, but also fulfilling lives. I think measurement really matters, and I think traditionally the way colleges have measured their success is in enrollment rates. It is in the size of the budgets. For selective colleges, it's often in how many students are excluded. It's often in how many, what their yield is. And I think the role of data is to help add to the focus one of student outcomes, not just inputs, not just whether your budgets are secure and your enrollments are strong, but whether, in fact, you're delivering the kinds of credentials, high graduation rates in the kinds of credentials that lead to changed lives. That's really the purpose of data, is to, from the College Excellence Program's perspective, is to help colleges look at a full range of information that stands for the proposition that students have, in fact, had their talent fully developed and, in fact, are set up for a better life than they would have had they not come to college.
I like that.
I will tell you that, and this, there's a delicate balance in maintaining outcomes and the inputs that you're talking about. If you tell me you want incredible outcomes, maybe 100% of the students you want to finish, okay, I'll only accept 10. And I'm going to take these 10 students through. They're going to be all 4.0s or students with absolutely, and I'm going to graduate all 10. And then I'm failing on the access part. Now, if I go and I bring in everybody, no matter where there are institutions that have the infrastructure to do that. But if I don't have the infrastructure and I open up my pipeline to start accepting students who need a little bit more work, and I don't have the resources to bring in support services to help those students, then my outcomes suffer. And so there's a delicate balance to be maintained between access, outcome, and structure, infrastructure, and resource. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think this really brings us to the point about leadership, and which is really the other focus of the College Excellence Program, is what our research says is that colleges that achieve high, improving, and equitable levels of student success have leaders who have a prioritized set of agenda items that align to mission accomplishment. They're not ignoring the business aspects of things. Of course, you want to have high application numbers, you want high enrollments, you want flush budgets. Um, but I think your point is really well taken. I think that a college president once said to me that the question he asks other presidents or aspiring presidents is, what do you want your college presidency to mean? What is
Mm,
it that you want to accomplish? And I think when leaders have a very clear sense of what that is and really work to try to share that set of values and align priorities across the board with all constituents, they're much less likely to do some of the things that you suggested, which is take students in that they're not equipped to serve, or to take only the best students in who, frankly, would succeed anyway in life, um, simply so that they can um, uh, show show others that they've been successful. I think the leaders that I admire most and that the data show are achieving high, improving, and equitable levels of student success, have in mind what they're trying to accomplish and set priorities accordingly. Your example is really important, Joe, that the easiest way to improve student success rates is to take in students with fewer risk factors, students who
exactly.
are better prepared, students whose families have enough money that they're not going to struggle financially, and therefore they don't have to work part or full time while they're in school. You know, if we all have students who had a privileged K-12 experience and the resources needed to not work while they're in school, I think anybody could achieve the 90+% graduation rates of the Ivies. I think the more impressive colleges, even within that elite group, are places like Amherst College with 25% Pell students and double digit black students and students of color. Many students who traditionally have not had the same privilege, who don't have the same resources as others, and they still accomplish this 90+% graduation rate. That to me, at every level of higher education, I think focus on mission, understanding what the college's goals are for talent development and mobility, help lessen the chance that the kind of practice you described would be engaged in.
Epic.
Yeah, I always say that as I talk to college leaders, to myself, I say this, and sometimes to them, there's a big difference between retention and persistence at an Ivy than there is at a community college. It's just different. It's just the notion is different. The risk factors are different. The infrastructure is different. The resources are different. The type of student is different. And we do blanket that. It's like, well, retention and persistence. You got to hold these students in. It's like, well, you know, there's a big difference between a student who's not sure whether they want to go to college, that's dipped their toe in a community college, and what's life going to look like for me versus a student who's, you know, in finance and going to go to Merrill Lynch when they're done in an Ivy.
That's exactly right, and I think you've raised the important limitation of comparisons, which is that we can't compare a community college that where 50% of the students are on Pell Grants with an Ivy League school where 15% of the students are on Pell Grants, or a college where, by traditional measures, over half the students may be deemed not college ready versus one where every student is deemed college ready. That said, those same kinds of reasons are often used by colleges to say you shouldn't compare us to anybody.
Hmm.
And what we found in our research is even controlling for similar kinds of colleges with similar populations in similar locations, meaning urban or rural, we find wide variances in student outcomes. And so I think the key is for every college to say, yes, we are different than many, but we're going to find the ones that we're most like in characteristics and ask the question, where are these other colleges doing a better job, to really ask and to figure out how that's the case and whether they can adopt the policies and leadership and practices of those higher performing colleges. So couldn't agree with you more that among the thousands, 4 to 6,000, depending on how you count colleges in our country, we have many that are radically different from others. And yet, for every college in our country, there are dozens, if not hundreds, that are comparable, and which colleges, and part of our job is to help colleges see what is possible at colleges that look like them.
Yeah, great point too, especially when you start to consider an online college, and serving adult students exclusively compared to a physical, 18 to 22-year-old traditional student. Just the differences are there, and how you measure success in first-year students. There are institutions that are upper division universities that only teach juniors and seniors as transfer institutions, and then some of the metrics don't even apply to them the way that we have them set up and the government has them set up. So it's really fun to me. I mean, I think we got to be a little crazy to get into higher ed and the data and love it, because the nuances are fascinating, and we're in a noble work of higher education. This is a noble job. And so talk about some of the programs that you have at Aspen Institute related to education, related to the College Excellence Program, that affect colleges and universities in positive ways.
Sure. Well, let me give you 3 examples, Joe. One in each of 3 buckets. One is in the community college space. A second would be in the 4-year space, and the third would be in the intersection between the two that involve both. So on the community college side, we have for many years run something called the Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence, which is a deep research project to figure out which colleges are achieving the highest and fastest improving levels of student success and most equitable levels of student success. And we offer $1 million reward as a way to engage colleges in this. And then we really drive attention to those colleges. The community college project I really want to describe, though, is our fellowship program, which flows out of the Aspen Prize. We have for 9 years now been working to identify basically vice president level folks in community colleges who have the characteristics that our research say exist in presidents of high-performing colleges, of high-performing community colleges. So it's a very selective program, heavily subsidized by philanthropies from the Mellon Foundation to the Schusterman Foundation, J.P. Morgan, and others. And we find these folks and we put them through a 1-year intensive program to help teach them what we've learned from the Aspen Prize. What have we learned about how colleges achieve exceptional results? I'm really proud of this program for a few reasons. One is that we've now put over 300 people through the program. Our goal is half will become presidents within 5 years of finishing the program. And every cohort has hit that mark or exceeded it except one, which got to 19 instead of 20.
I'd say you've got a little bit of
Victory!
in there. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep. And the other thing is that one of the things in the design of this program that we recognized is that there are huge numbers of leaders of color and women who are not recognized as exceptional leaders. And so we set goals for increasing the diversity in the presidency. And again, the idea when we started, 70% of all community college presidents were white men. It can't be that 70% of people, given the demographics of our country, who are exceptional leaders are white men. So our goal really has been to diversify the presidency with the folks who really have the stuff of transformational leaders. And I'm proud to say that nearly half of both the participants and the people who have assumed presidencies are people of color, and 60% are women. So that's a program that I think has begun to create a new center point for a community of transformational leaders who have all engaged in the same educational experience and then are applying those lessons at their colleges. I will say one other thing about this, Joe. We are now assessing the extent to which the graduates of this program do better than the average for students. In other words, when they assume presidencies, we're starting to measure 3 years after they assume their presidency. Are students better off because these presidents are at their institution? I'm not sure others in higher ed have ever tried to align the assessment of their programs with actual student outcomes. We see it in K-12, but I don't think enough of the interventions that we have in higher ed, certainly at the leadership development level, have done that. So that is on the community college side. Now let me flip to the four-year side. We have a partnership with Bloomberg Philanthropies and Ithaca S&R to coalesce a group of top graduation rate institutions. So the Ivy League, many state flagships, and many smaller independent colleges, liberal arts colleges, to increase socioeconomic diversity. It's called the American Talent Initiative, and we have about 135 members, 140 members today. And these colleges have set specific goals to increase the number of Pell students that they have, low to moderate income students, who are enrolled in and graduating at their institutions. We've been running that since 2016, and I'm proud to say that while we saw a dip during COVID, those colleges have 18,000 more Pell students today than they had in 2016. Outstanding. And to think about that, what that means is, 3 Georgetown universities full of undergraduates who are all Pell students who are succeeding, or I don't know what it would be, 8 more Amherst colleges. Maybe it's 12 more Amherst colleges, full of lower income students. And the idea here is that that set of institutions, as a general matter, doesn't enroll their fair share of Pell students. These colleges have stepped up and said, we've been trying in the past, but we can succeed by working together to learn from one another and make commitments with one another, and make this a point of pride for ourselves and our institutions. And so places like Dayton College, Dayton University that we've seen, Princeton University, Muhlenberg, these are the colleges that are a wide range of institutions. This is sort of strange bedfellows in a sense. What unites them all is, one, they have 70+% graduation rates, and 2, they're committed to increasing socioeconomic diversity. So it's
a lot.
Yep.
It's a lot of positive impact.
Thank you. I do want to talk a little bit about transfer as the third area, which is the intersection of the two.
Yeah.
So we work in the community college space to increase graduation rates and post-graduation success. We work in the highly selective, high graduation rate schools to increase the diversity of their students. And then in between these sectors of 2 and 4 year, we're trying to solve what may be the biggest under-addressed problem in higher ed. And that is that when community college students enter their institutions, 80% say they want a bachelor's degree. 6 years later, only 16% have a bachelor's degree. That is a number that I think we all can agree needs to be improved. And we've been for 9 or 10 years running programs on transfer, doing research much with our friends at the Community College Research Center at Columbia University to try to figure out how to dramatically increase, not just marginally increase through articulation agreements, but dramatically increase the number of students who start in community college and get a bachelor's degree. It's a huge drain on talent in our country, and the deferred dreams that those data reflect should trouble everybody, especially given that most first-generation students, most students of color, particularly Hispanic students, most lower-income students start in community college. Getting them to achieve their goal of a bachelor's degree is a national imperative that we've been doing a fair amount of work on.
Where's the disconnect? It's funny because I will tell you, I was talking to Dr. Michael Shannon. He's the president of University of North Georgia. I'm going to fact check myself just to make it. But we were talking. He's a ex-military guy. He's running an institution. His background's ridiculous, like thermonuclear, securities. This guy has done incredible work. And we were talking about transfer, and as soon as I asked him the question about transfer, it's like everything else melted away, and this was the topic. This is the topic that we have to address in higher education. And you just go, why? Why is it so hard? And it's not. I don't think it's the student. I think part of it always is going to be the who, but so much of it is the what. Not taking credits. There's prior learning assessments, and credit for prior learning policies are almost impossible to navigate. If you and I have because I've helped write them, study these policies and how an institution looks at credit from another institution. I mean, it's like a matrix. There's no way to navigate it. It's impossible. And then you've got to pay, and then you've got to have all of these things take place, all of these barriers to go, we'll take those credits, knowing that it's in the best interest of the institution, depending on how you ask, not to take those credits, because the institution goes, well, that's basically, we're discounting it by this much. So we have to be very careful how many credits we take, or else we have less net tuition revenue. And so we say higher ed's not a business, but then we speak of it in business terms, or I think it's a business, but many people don't. And you tie the student up in this complex matrix, for lack of a better way to say it, on something that is basically defining their future, and we can't figure it out.
Attention.
Registration is now open for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education 2024 Annual Conference, Protecting the Future, Champions for Higher Education, December 11th through 13, 2024 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Don't miss out. Register today at msche.org/annual-conference. We'll see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the Edit Experience. And hopefully you know by now that we have started our subscription-based model where we have original content, bonus content, get invites to special events. So right now it's $2.99 a month, and as of January 1st, 2025, it's going to go up to $19.99 a month. So go to edupexperience.com, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe now to lock in that lifetime Edup Experience founders rate. $2.99 a month, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe.
Mark your calendars now for February 12th through 14th, because this is where we welcome the era of the modern learner and the most anticipated higher education marketing and enrollment management conference of the year. We're headed to New Orleans for Insights EDU 2025. This year's event is packed with speakers from companies like Google, Meta, Reddit, and MIQ Digital, and schools across the country. Ready to learn how AI is transforming the marketing landscape and how to adapt your programs to the preferences and demands of the modern learner? Then Insights EDU 2025 is where you need to be. Register now at insightsedu.com.
Yeah. Your point about the conflict between business and mission purposes here is an important one in the context of transfer. So, Joe, it is true that for any given student, if I don't take their credits and they come to my college, I may get them for longer. Right? I get them to repeat courses they've already taken or take additional credits. That kind of short-term thinking, I think, is too common. What we've seen actually is, so you're right, there are a lot of challenges, and credit transfer is one of them. But we act as though this is a technical problem rather than an adaptive one. And when we've looked at the colleges that achieve really quantum improvements in transfer student success, they have looked at the long term and recognized that students are not coming to college anymore. The students who start at community college and four-year schools are different. They tend to be different. They've realized that if they have a really tight transfer policy, which helps students graduate in as close to 4 years as possible, 2+2, really 2+2, they'll gain long-term enrollments, that both institutions over the long run will succeed. Let me give you an example. Direct Connect at the University of Central Florida in Valencia, in Orlando, it's a growing area, but those colleges, even during the dips over the last decade, grew in enrollments. Why? A big part of the reason is because there was guaranteed transfer with aligned program maps if you started at Valencia and you went on to the University of Central Florida. 2+2 is common there. It's not common in most of the other parts of the country. When you go into high schools today and you ask students, what are you going to do after you graduate from high school? Students will use a new verb, direct connect. And everybody knows what it means. I'm not going to UCF. I'm not going to Valencia. I'm going to direct connect. George Mason and Northern Virginia Community College have a program called Advance. That will become a verb in the high schools soon as well, because there's a guarantee. And so if you're thinking from a business perspective as a college leader about how it is I'm going to get future enrollments, what does it look like to have a new verb to have a new product that's so powerful that everybody knows its value by a single word, advance or direct connect. By combining institutional types, by guaranteeing transfer, by really getting the faculty together to say, okay, let's really talk it through here. How much of this is that we're not going to take your credits because we're protecting enrollments? No, we're not going to do that. But how much of it is that the community college courses aren't aligned to junior year standing? Like, let's really hash it out. I think there is real opportunity on both sides to get better. But it starts with a much bigger vision than what are we going to do for these individual students to protect our enrollments, or how are we going to protect the upper division from poorly prepared students who are coming to us? You got to break through that and say, how are we going to get efficient bachelor's degrees delivered so that students have better lives in our community? That's the big picture. And with that, I think you really start to think about transfer in a different light.
You mentioned, I'm so glad to know that we're talking about this, because I think it's still such a critical issue. And I have been involved in many conversations where, and you brought up the word faculty, where faculty play an important role in transfer credit and evaluation and so on and so on. And sometimes there's such ownership over a program or outcomes, perceived ownership, I would say, because of course institutions typically own the programs, but where a faculty member might say something like, well, we really need the student to take this many credits. We just can't take more of these credits if they're going to get the learning outcomes from this program. And then you have a different faculty member in a different program go, oh no, I'll take every single credit. It literally can get down to the minutia of person versus person, subjectivity versus subjectivity, because there isn't anything that governs it.
That's exactly right. And that's, again, where leadership comes in. If leaders stand up the way Angel Cabrera did when Advance was created at George Mason University with Nova, and they say, we are going to have a dual admission transfer project. Already more than half of our students are transfer students. They could do better, and we could capture more market share. We are going to do this because students' lives, the students depend on us, and the employers in our area depend on us to deliver these bachelor's degrees among these diverse students. I think when they stand up and they say, we will do this, then one of the quick things people realize is that faculty have to get together discipline by discipline and build real clarity. And everywhere that happens, the faculty who are resistant or who may be misinformed or who frankly may be right but overly worried about whether students are going to be prepared, when they decide they're going to do it and they sit down, faculty really enjoy it. They really enjoy sitting with their colleagues. They realize that the English faculty at community college and four-year schools have much more in common than they do difference. They want the same things for students. And they might find that that they can clear up misperceptions, but they also might find that they have to align curriculum. The starting point has to be, though, leaders saying we will do this to make it an institutional priority so that faculty are forced to sit down and really ask the question, what should we do? My experience is faculty want the best thing for students. The vast majority of faculty want the best for students. And when they sit down to figure it out, they really enjoy learning that the community college will send better prepared students. They enjoy learning that many of the credits that they were saying in the past weren't up to snuff actually probably are up to snuff by looking at data. So I completely agree with you. And the solution to the vagaries of how faculty assign credits is leaders deciding that they'll prioritize something radically different, a transformational model.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Now, I want to go just go backwards to come forwards. The Aspen Prize. So if I got it right, it's $1 million, right, for a community college each year. And it's been 9 years?
It's every other year.
Every other year.
Since 2011. We actually awarded, it's been every odd year since 2011. So we're currently, I think, on our 7th cycle, that means.
And I mean, that's a significant amount of dollars for these institutions. Have you been able to track the outcomes, for lack of a better way to say it, or the consequences positive that have been created from this amazing prize? And what has it done for these institutions?
Yeah, so the money probably matters less than the recognition, but the money has mattered. Colleges, we're choosing colleges that are really exceptional and that are spending their resources in the right ways. So I'll give you an example. The first prize winner, Valencia College, they got 600,000. By the way, it's $1 million pot, and the majority goes to the winner. They got $600,000, and they realized that the biggest impediment to student success was that they couldn't afford the UCF, the University of Central Florida tuition. So rather than taking the money and spending it on themselves, they leveraged it into a $5 million scholarship fund.
It's amazing.
To help students after they transferred. They went to UCF and said, would you match this money? And they said, sure. And they said, let's do a joint fundraising dinner and try to raise even more scholarship dollars. What I love about that story is that we don't dictate, you can't lobby with money, but otherwise we don't dictate the way the money gets spent. But school after school, we see using it to advance student success in meaningful ways. The much more impactful thing for these colleges, really, I think there are a few things. One is it drives a huge amount of attention to them.
Yes.
And you would think that that would create a burden for them. But in fact, the faculty and staff that have been doing this exceptional work and the leaders welcome the opportunity to be in the spotlight nationally and to receive others that they can help teach how you accomplish better results. So one is that they get recognition and they are able to do what drives most college employees every day, which is to do better by students. They get to share what they've learned. The second, though, is that we see that they are getting, it's easier to fill jobs. We know that community colleges have lost a lot of employees lately. Well, Aspen Prize winners and finalists can hold that out as something that draws people to jobs. Here's another impact. Mackenzie Scott, a major philanthropist who's given over $500 million to community colleges, has given, we estimate about 80% of the dollars to Aspen Prize finalists. And it really, we've never talked to her.
But she must be looking, is your point. She must be looking.
Yeah, but I think, and researchers now call us all the time and they say, hey, we're going to do a ranking on community colleges. What metrics are you using? We get states, actually some states have given a premium to colleges that are finalists for the Aspen Prize in their state appropriations. Researchers want to know, I want to look at colleges that are high performing for some particular research. Tell me about your lists and who does best on these metrics. So I think that what we're seeing is that colleges are we're driving attention to the right institutions, and the benefits that those folks get both are in resources, but also in the capacity to share their practices. And frankly, that's a retention strategy in and of itself. If I know that I'm a leader nationally and getting these calls, I feel like I want to stay at this college and work at this college where great work is happening.
Excellent.
You also think about the journey that all of the colleges take to try to go after and be the winner of these dollars by hitting the metrics, by creating better outcomes, the alignment that they're able to create at their university. I mean, you think about it and go, there's probably a college president sitting out there going, it would be great if we win. But the biggest benefit to us is the alignment that we can create internally, the incremental increases in outcomes and creating better data. And so by the time it's announced, it really doesn't matter for us. We've created incredible efficiency and alignment and gone down a great path to improve for our students. And if we win, great. But if not, I mean, I might say this into myself, but it's the journey that matters more than the end.
Yeah, I'll give you a story, Joe. We walked into a finalist college. We meet with the president first. So we gather labor market data, transfer data, completion data, and then we do qualitative reviews of the 10 finalists, where we actually do site visits, multi-day site visits. We walked into one president, and you'll understand why I'm not going to name him, and he said, "We're not ready to win the prize. We've been a finalist. This is our second year. But just let me tell you, here's what we've done. We're on a path. This is really helpful for me, but we're not ready to win." And I remember the site visitors being so impressed and taken aback. They didn't win that year. And by the way, if they deserved to win, we probably would have given it to them anyway.
Right.
But I think that really reinforces your point. Look, everybody wants to win, but the leaders that are achieving the kinds of results we see use the prize as a benchmarking tool. We give feedback reports to the 10 finalists. We give data reports to every college that applies for the prize. They're using the process of applying as a way of stepping back, saying, where are we good? Where can we get better? And then to engage with us and with others, Achieving the Dream and Community College Research Center and all the others who are doing terrific work in this space to say, how do we engage with the group of reformers in this space to improve the data points that we're seeing and the practices that we have identified that could use improvement.
I mean, this is just all great stuff, right? And we've got so much more to talk about, but I want to be able to give you an open mic. And you're going to come back and record a little mini episode for our subscribers, which of course we thank you for, but I want to give you an open mic. What else do you want to say about the College Excellence Program at the Aspen Institute?
Yeah, I think one of the things we haven't talked about, Joe, is the state of boards of higher ed in our country. Recently, a lot of people observed the congressional hearings, and no matter what your view was about the politics surrounding that and about the substance of the conversation, I think we'd all agree that it revealed gaps between presidents and boards in regards to expectations, in regards to the information that the boards had, and also I think a gap in behind the scenes in the board's understanding of the core mission of the institution and what the president's role was in achieving that. Now, again, I don't want to make too much of an example. I think that's a very small example. I do think the point here is that when we see colleges go sideways as a result of a lot of the surrounding politics, it is often leadership goes sideways, where leaders are fired or they quit. It's often because the boards and the presidents don't have a common set of goals for the college.
Yeah.
They don't have a common set of metrics that they're looking at. They don't know what the prioritized reform strategies are. And they haven't solidified their common understanding of what they're about together. And so these interfering moments, these other issues that come in, while they can be very important, upset the apple cart much too easily. It's sort of like a sailboat that has no ballast. They get blown over by any winds that arise. So we're doing a lot of work to try to work with community college boards. We do some in the four-year space to work with presidents and boards to create a greater common understanding of, one, why is the status quo not okay? Why do we need reform? Number two, what's our prioritized reform strategy? Number three, what measures will we regularly look at to see if we're making progress to our goals in light of our reform strategy? And then how do we organize our budget review, our policy review, and our presidential evaluation in relationship with the president around those things? So we have a curriculum that we're working on with colleges. We're about to expand that thanks to a grant from Ascendium to 50 additional community colleges to really help give space to boards and presidents to sit down and come to common understanding of the why and what of reform, the measures that will be used, and how to align all their other activities to those reform strategies.
And I'm guessing at some point there's some study or data that you'll be tracking to say that we went through this program and something improved.
No doubt. Some of the metrics we'll look at is actually the tenure of the president after they go through this treatment. Again, tenure isn't everything, but the tenure of community college presidents is only 4 or 5 years these days. Yeah. We know it takes longer than that to enact reform. So do they stick around for longer is one. Second, do they actually list out a set of priority metrics that they're going to be looking at? Do they change the agendas in their meetings? So we'll be looking at a lot of those kinds of things. And ultimately, the ultimate goal is that more students will succeed.
Well, don't go anywhere, Josh, because we want to bring you back for a little mini episode, but I'm going to outro you here, ladies and gentlemen. He is the one and only Josh Wyner. He is the founder and executive director of the College Excellence Program at the Aspen Institute. Josh, it's been an honor to have you here, and we hope you had fun with all this passion that you bring to the mic.
I did. Thanks, Joe. It's been great to be with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just upped.
Attention.
Registration is now open for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education 2024 Annual Conference, Protecting the Future, Champions for Higher Education, December 11th through 13th, 2024 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Don't miss out. Register today at msche.org/annual-conference or head to msche.org and click on the conference link. I'll see you there. Higher ed leaders, ready to level up your marketing and enrollment strategy? Join us at Insights EDU February 12th through 14th in New Orleans. The ultimate higher education marketing and enrollment management conference is here. Take advantage of early bird prices until December 12th. Register now at insightsedu.com. Welcome to the era of the modern learner.
Hey everybody, it's Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the Edit Experience. Hopefully you know by now that we have started our subscription-based model where we have original content, bonus content, get invites to special events. So right now it's $2.99 a month, and as of January 1st, 2025, it's going to go up to $19.99 a month. So go to edupexperience.com, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe now to lock in that lifetime Edup Experience Founders rate. $2.99 a month, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe.